Welcome back! Let's jump right into today's explainer, where we're immersing ourselves in the surreal, incredibly atmospheric Gothic fiction piece known as Texty. This story doesn't just, paint a picture. It literally drags you into a deeply claustrophobic world where light and darkness are locked in this visceral battle. It's a fascinating look at human trauma, asking how far a tormented mind will actually go to escape an unbearable reality. So let's just unravel this mystery together.
We're dropping right into Deep Cloud Village. Think of it as an English remnant of the Victorian Gothic era that's just permanently choked by mist and obscurity. Everywhere you look, these dark gargoyles are staring down from the rooftops, but the mood is really set by the street lamps. As the text puts it, quote, "Every evening, a bony, black-robed creature riding a black horse would come to light these lanterns," end quote. So instead of your standard street lamps, the cobblestone streets are lit up by tall, gloomy lanterns. And get this, each one is topped with a black rose holding a burning flame. It perfectly establishes a world where the macabre is just, mundane. Darkness here isn't just an absence of light, it's an active, living presence.
Which brings us to part 1, the Deep Cloud Village Curse. So you're probably wondering, how did this village get so unbelievably grim in the first place? Well, to understand the present, we really have to look at the village's brutal past. Deep Cloud Village is quite literally haunted by its own sins. Back in the day, the villagers had this horrific practice of violently burning people at the stake. They'd leave them tied up on the streets and the text uses this deeply disturbing phrase, barbecue torches. Naturally, this cruelty didn't go unpunished. A witch living up on the peak of Fog Mountain actually cast a dark curse over the village using bones. And the result? A permanent, lightning-filled black cloud, swirling with these grotesque faces, just permanently shrouded the town. The darkness they live in today is a direct, inescapable consequence of the darkness of their history.
Moving on to part 2, Roommates of Light and Dark. From that massive macro-level view of the cursed village, we zoom way, way in. We step inside an intensely claustrophobic apartment sitting on a medieval cobblestone street. And this space brilliantly defines our main characters, who are living parallel but entirely opposite lives. On one side, we have Toivo. He suffers from schizophrenia and is constantly plagued by terrifying hallucinations. Yet, his space features this incredibly beautiful white grandfather clock with a rose pattern that wakes him up pleasantly at 7 a.m. It's like he's actively fighting against the absolute gloom of his moldy black wallpaper. Then, you have his roommate, Merchant. Merchant lives in a drastically different reality. He stores literal human skulls in a cracked Victorian mirror cabinet, right next to this disgusting black clock that actually oozes green pus. And when it strikes midnight, it lets out this creepy ding-dong. It's just a perfect, jarring representation of Toivo's desperate yearning for light, trapped right next door to Merchant's oozing, nightmarish reality.
And man, when midnight strikes, the whole apartment just descends into absolute sensory overload. Upstairs, there's a neighbor, aptly named Bones, who bangs on the floor so incredibly hard that plaster physically rains down from Toivo's ceiling. Toivo himself is trapped in his bolted room, screaming from these intense schizophrenic terrors. Meanwhile, Merchant, who, by the way, turns out to be a stalker and an actual soul stealer, literally levitates out of the house into the pouring rain to hunt down people and animals. It's wild. This sheer chaos pushes an already tormented Toivo to his absolute breaking point, forcing him to finally seek an escape.
Let's look at part 3, Gathering of the White Hearts.
This right here is the major turning point. Toivo hears the gentle voice of the creator urging him to pray, and he makes this tense, incredibly stealthy escape to find a hidden beacon of hope. Armed with a black umbrella bearing a white cross, which is just another fantastic symbol of the textuality, he literally climbs out his window. Picture this. He's moving quietly down a black rain gutter, his boots slipping on wet cobblestones. He has to physically dodge these strange, horrific creatures lurking in the shadows. The atmosphere is so thick you could cut it with a knife. A foghorn echoes, the rain suddenly stops, and blood actually seems to drip from those tall street lanterns before the mist rolls right back in. His ultimate destination? A secret gathering at building number 7 on street number 8.
When Toivo finally arrives, we uncovered this absolutely crucial piece of lore about a hidden resistance. These people greet each other with a secret code name, Whiteheart, or Valkasiven in Finnish. And these individuals are the ultimate contrast to the village's curse. Think about it. In a pitch-black town that's just smothered by grotesque clouds and mist, the Whitehearts are acting as a single, burning torch of hope. The sanctuary Toivo finds inside Building 7 is seriously breathtaking. But what's fascinating is how it still totally holds on to that heavy Gothic aesthetic. He enters by using this bronze, hand-shaped knocker, stepping into a massive, dim church hall. The archway is completely covered in Koine Greek writings of the Word of God. Inside, there are these beautiful stained glass windows, including a really striking one of Samson tearing a lion apart, and they're illuminated by blue candles. Down at the front stands an altar decorated with black roses, but it's burning with pure white candles. So even in this divine, holy space, the Gothic shadows are very much present, but they're perfectly balanced by the light.
Inside the church, Toivo has this incredibly intimate reunion with a woman named Hannah. They hug tightly, and the text draws our attention specifically to her hands. She's wearing a gold ring with a single white pearl. It's a tiny, beautiful detail, but it anchors them to a memory of their wedding day. They remember a day of total light aboard a majestic ship, with Hannah in a sparkling dress standing under an arch of multicolored roses. But just as they kiss near the altar, a bright flash of lightning strikes and completely shatters the scene. Hold on to the thought of that white pearl, though, because it really delicately foreshadows the profound magic we're about to witness.
That brings us to part 4, the Pearls of Portals. So, in an instant, Toivo is yanked all the way back to his bolted room, sitting in his creaking rocking chair. And here, the ultimate magical choice is presented through these perfectly parallel magic triggers. Check this out. Toivo has a brown Victorian table holding 7 white candles. And tucked under each one is a white pearl. From the very next room, Merchant is mocking him, sitting at his own snake-patterned table. But Merchant has 6 black candles and 6 black pearls. Touching just one of these pearls acts as a literal portal. The numerology, the colors, the table patterns, absolutely everything is perfectly opposed. It's light versus dark, plain and simple.
Now for the climax, Part 5, 2 Diverging Destinies. As the roommates finally make their choice, we get to see their radically different fates unfold. Merchant grabs his black pearl first, shouting in triumph. Almost instantly, he's transported to a dark, vaulted temple right on the peak of Fog Mountain, the literal source of the village's curse. There are chains hanging from the ceiling holding these mummy-like figures, and black candles are burning everywhere. Then the witch appears. She levitates town from the air in a moth-eaten black wedding dress that is literally crawling with maggots, her face completely hidden behind a melancholic red mask. Merchant opens his sack, and the souls he's stolen are just sucked directly into her mask like mist, filled with these horrific screams of terror. It is a terrifying, visceral descent into pure evil.
Meanwhile, as thunder rumbles outside the apartment, Toivo grabs a white pearl, and the contrast to Merchant's horror is immediate. With a bright flash, Toivo wakes up in a realm of ultimate peace. He finds himself lying in a vibrant, multicolored meadow of singing flowers and grass, completely surrounded by a green oak forest. The air is heavy with the deep fragrance of a rose, birds are singing beautifully around him, and get this, up in the sky, golden chariots pulled by white horses are just flying among the clouds. It is the complete, sensory-rich escape from the grime, the mold, and the absolute madness of Deep Cloud Village.
But all of this leaves us with a final, truly fascinating thread to untangle. Remember, right before Merchant uses his pearl, Toivo yells at him through the wall to be quiet because he's, and I quote, trying to have a lucid dream. We also know for a fact that Toivo suffers from severe schizophrenia and hallucinations. So were these pearls, the maggot-covered witch on the mountain, and the golden chariots real, tangible magic within the lore of Deep Cloud Village? Or did we just witness the ultimate, incredibly detailed manifestation of a tormented mind using lucid dreaming to finally escape its own darkness? It asks us a really profound question. When reality becomes an unbearable nightmare, is the magic inside our own minds our only true escape? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.